I'm gonna knock one with this bow.
I have to slow heal.
Why? Because I'm Katniss Everdeen.
Well.
I actually just can't hit him. Knock him.
Horizon's low, yeah. I'm gonna queue up on him. I'm nading him for you.
70. Knock.
50 flash showing. Crack low. I think
Took port. He took port. It ends up down below here.
I'm 4 killing this good though. Oh, he just died to another team.
Bird.
Oh, you're in there.
I'm in the tunnel as well.
TP went away. TP went away.
I'm gonna kill them.
That's so unlucky, bro. I did so much damage this team. It's a full team. Full team, but Noko is fucking him up. I'm slowing down. I got what? 1v1 Noko, the other guy pinned me. Get him, Noko.
All dead.
Oh, baby. Yes, dude, sir.
I'm the best! So comp, tell us more. Okay. To give you guys like the background, right? It's basically back when I played comp originally with CLG, that was like me, Wig, Madness, that was Lyric. That was kind of like around that time that like the passion for Apex was at an all-time next level high. We were amongst like top players in the community. We made it to finals back in Poland, all that good stuff, whatever, right? After pretty much CLG disbanded, you know, you're looking for a new team, things like that. I started playing with Zach and Noct. By then, I was still highly in the competitive scene. I was very, very much so locked in. Then we take into like, you know, Zach and Noct. After Zach and Noct is pretty much when everything went downhill, because every team I had after that was just like not dedicated, would disband in, you know, in 10 seconds. It was like 2 tournaments disband. And I went on this like this spree, not to say it like this, but like I'm seeing Naughty go on that. I'm seeing Aberlelli go on that. In particular, both of them are doing exactly the mistakes that I did, which was like team hopping. You team hop so many times that your name, your skill, everything gets tainted, because individually you can look at these players and be like, yeah, they're mechanically amazing, they're mechanically good, which I think a lot of people back in the day were like, yeah, he's mechanically insane, mechanically good. But then you look at team results and it was just like, performed bad in tournament, didn't make it in tournament, disbanded from the team, retired, came back, retired, came back, right? Like I quit out of frustration and be back like a month later with a new team and then do bad. And then like that team would be like, you know, we're going to look for other options, or, oh, like, do you want to look for one? Cause this guy's not going to be a part of the team. And that would just kind of like disband the team once again. And you do that so many times to where like at that point, it's like the boy who cried wolf. It's you lose, like the community lost faith in me as a player. The players lost faith in me as a player in terms of like credibility aspect. Anyway, yeah, I was like the boy who cried wolf, essentially like just kind of didn't have a home. Then I was like, you know what, took a break for a little while. And then I started playing with Stunny and Zed. And that was like the first kind of like sign of like climbing out of that like rut that I was in terms of like the competitive scene. You know, I climbed up, we performed really well. It was like we communicated really well. And then it was basically like the same problems that I consistently saw in my past started to like arise, which is like, you know, tempers would go up. Then sometimes would wake up like 10 minutes before a tournament. We'd be like panicking. It'd be like, you know, I remember the finals where we were trying to make it to Pro League and they were just like not checked in, barely talking. Like at one point I started IGLing because I felt like Stunny just wasn't even fucking awake at one point, right? And that hurt us because he was a better IGL than me and I was a panic IGL at the time. So like I would just be like, go here. Oh shit, we're dead. You know, it was bad. Where Stunny was like, you know, obviously Stunny was very, very smart with his decisions, but I felt like at that time the mood was so bad that like I needed to do something. So then one bad performance and we disbanded. I think that was probably, I think if we were still together, I feel like we'd be a top 10 Pro League team without a doubt. I didn't even want to say top 5 because I don't think we would have been there just yet. But I think that we were on the makings of being one of the best teams possible. But I played with, you know, I played with people like Tanner, which was great, you know, Noob, which was great. But like in terms of who we were in the competitive scene, it was just, I was patchworking all these people together in the community, but like it didn't work. It was a little bit of, you know, just patchworking a lot. At this point, I came back a third time And when I disbanded, or like a fourth time, whatever, I retired a lot, right? Like the whole community, it's kind of like a meme amongst myself now. And that's my fault. And I think that the comments that I read are warranted of being like, bro, not this again, right? It's like, oh yeah, like I get it. And I think back then, those comments really fucked up my brain, like super, super bad, to where like I was like, I had this chip on my shoulder. I was getting really like upset. I'd read like Twitter. I would stay away from Reddit, but you know, I'd read Twitter and just be like, I'd just get really annoyed at like the fact that I was losing this like respect, you know, on my name. And with that, I started to play worse and worse and worse because I was so affected by all the comments. It was just really bad. As I let those comments fly, I started to perform, you know, worse and worse, to the point where I was like, oh, I don't even care anymore. And then kind of like the last fun run that I did was with Taxi. And I put together this team, and we all know how that turned out. Taxi ended up leaving, and ironically enough, the community was more mad about it than I was. They made this whole big deal about him leaving. And truthfully, I didn't even care that he left. I kind of was like, whatever, because I didn't care about competitive as much as like the community did, until I realized that the community was like, the core community that supports me was like, we really wanted this for you. And I was like, damn, like it didn't click in my brain that my upbringing in terms of Apex was on the competitive side. You know what I mean? It wasn't content. It was literally like, so many people were like, this was you. This was like what we wanted. When that kind of fallout happened, it was just kind of like the nail in the coffin, where I was like, all right, like, well, I guess we're done, right? But I never really gave myself that like real fighting chance to like prove something in competitive scene. And it's one of those things of, memes aside and people aside, that, you know, because you're always gonna have people that they're gonna talk. And I think that's what makes me feel so much better now, is my mindset and my gameplay. I mean, it has been translating into my gameplay of, I'm playing insane. Like, I'm just playing, my aim has never been more crisp. Like, my comms, my mental, I get killed now by like any randoms or whatever, and I just laugh it off. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, oh, that's a good shot, whatever, right? Like, I don't have this chip on my shoulder. And you know, with that, it's kind of like being positive in every aspect of my life, you know what I mean? Like being healthy, you know, and just being happy, has translated into my stream, where I'm not necessarily like worried about like stream numbers anymore, where like I used to literally hop on stream and panic at stream numbers and be like, is today going to be like a low viewer day or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? It was just a horrible mindset, to where now you fast forward and it's like where I am at this point, getting back into competitive. I read those same comments and I'm just like, I take the adult approach of being like, yeah, you deserve that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's a really valid reason right now. Like, people are untrustworthy of me right now in terms of, you know, finding a team and joining a team and playing and warranted, right? Like, I retired like 4 times now. It's 100% valid. So it's one of those things of getting back into competitive, finding the right team. And I think I want to like 100% just make this known that I will not be joining a comp team that I don't believe will be like a LAN ready team, a pro league team. I'm willing to lose. I'm willing to get 10th, 15th place. When I did the one hand challenge, that was one of those things where a lot of people were like, you know, I had a lot of people that hadn't watched me in a long time. I've had a lot of new people come into my channel, and I had a lot of people that were kind of like, you're fucking nuts. And it felt good to see those comments again. I've always said this, but hype follows hype in either direction, right? And what happens is like, if the overall community like sees a name, right? You think of, you think of Noko, you're like, oh yeah, that guy's not even that good, right? However, that person or those people saying that have probably never seen me before, right? But the overall consensus of my name was like, oh yeah, I've heard of Noko. Like, I've heard he fucking throws, or he's not that good, blah, blah, blah. And they tune into the stream, and I'm just fucking one clipping everything, popping off, going nuts. And I think, again, it's like hype follows hype in either direction. As of recently, a lot of those comments around my name have just been super overwhelmingly positive, right? Like I go into like anyone's channel and they're like, bro, you did the one hand thing. You were insane. Like, oh, I've been watching you recently. You've been popping off. Da 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 da. It's been so great. I'm like, damn, hell yeah, man. That's awesome. Right? It's like, it's such a feels good moment. And especially like when I read those negative comments now, it's just like, all right, man, it is what it is. Like I just shrug it off because it's like that mindset of just being in a better place is huge. And yeah, so I know that the community has wanted this for a long time to get back into competitive and take a serious stab at competitive with a real credible team that on paper you look at it and you're like, they're nuts. It's exciting. It's what I've always wanted. I always felt like I didn't do something in Apex. In terms of being a like an Apex pillar amongst the community, like that, I definitely, have achieved that where, like I even got my own fucking banner in the game, which is amazing. I don't even think it's necessarily ignoring salty people. I think the people that are mad at me with this whole competitive thing, I honestly think it's warranted, right? Like I think it's one of those things where I have to prove to them, because how could some of these like OG viewers or these people they watch me in the beginning, how can they like trust me, right? Because I've done this before, right? Like 4 times. So I just have to take it super serious this time and really put my best foot forward and not let you guys down, but most importantly, not let myself down. So I'm really excited for it. I think a lot of people see it. Slowly, I'm seeing that positivity just skyrocket up with like stream and people being like, you're seeing comments now where like I'll go into somebody's chat, you're like, yo, pick up Noko, and people are just like, yeah, dude, he's been nuts lately. Like you should pick him up. Like he's fucking cracked. I've been playing with people and they're like, bro, you've been playing different, like Peeps, what he was saying the other day, he was like, bro, he's like, what the fuck? He's like, you're playing nuts. Like, what the hell? I'm like that player again, just dropping like 3,500 damage a game, like 3K damage. Like I'm understanding how things are working. All the wheels are turning and I'm just like, wait, I know how to play now. Right. But one thing is to speak on the Albanati situation. I would assume this is how people felt about me. I think they need to be very careful. I think they're treading on a line that I went through, which was you team hop so much and you jump around and you have bad performances on every team, where eventually people are going to be like, man, you're just not that good anymore. And then the hate train starts. Remember I said hype follows hype in either direction. You can already kind of see it. You know what I mean? Like Al being like, I'm going to switch a controller, then switches back, then gets roasted from that community. And I'm going to tell you, bro, as someone who's been on the opposite end of Reddit and been on the opposite end of Twitter and been a part of those memes and stuff like that, it's not a fun run for your mental. A lot of people, like I know that Alba's fucking insane. I know that Naughty's insane. But what happens is people that don't know you, it starts to spread as like, oh, dude, Abrelella, you saw him? Oh, isn't that the guy that fucking did this, blah, blah, blah? Rather than it used to be Alb and it used to be Naughty of like, yo, you saw his fucking Pathfinder? Did you see him win this? You see him like, bro, they're nuts. Now that's like the conversation's starting to switch. They need to, and that's why I wanted Alb and Naughty and them to stay together. And I really wanted them to pop off because it's one of those things of like, every time you team hop and every time you have a bad performance, it tarnishes your name of like, people forget very quickly what you used to do versus what you are doing. And I think that like, for me, if I were to team with Alb and Naughty, I would be afraid that they were just going to leave after a month or 2. I am so down to play with them because I know for me, as someone who's watched them and as someone who's like played with them, I know that they are smart and they are so good that it'd be silly not to. But at the same time too, I don't want to be a part because I know my goal, and my goal is to get on a competitive team. I want to fail. I want to pop off. I want to try to get to LAN, and if I don't, we keep going. Like that's the goal. I don't want a team that buckles after 1 tournament and buckles after 2 tournaments. 3 months down the road, after all the time we put in, it's over. And it's just like, I want a team that's actually going to stick with it, rock whatever issues that we have. That's where I'm at personally. That's kind of the breakdown of why I want to get back in competitive. It's just, I feel like I'm not done. I feel like I owe it to myself. I feel like I owe it to like my OG viewers in the community. I want to do something. I've had the casters on set specifically was just like, yeah, Noko. Like I want to see him pop off like on the live stage, on the main events, whatever. Like be like, hey, we're gonna watch these. We're gonna watch this guy. Like I promise you, he's gonna pop off. Like people believed in us, and it's just like I feel like every time we let somebody down, it sucked. So do I have some people in mind that you would like to play with? Not really. I mean, Alba Naughty are definitely people that I would love to play with. No one's reached out. You know what I mean? And it's expected. It's expected, right? Like there's a lot of teams that are full, a lot of teams that, you know, they're trying to scrap together a challenger circuit team. They need pro league points. But Hill, I would love to play with Hill. Hill's been an OG player since the very beginning. I think Hill would be an insane, just because Hill's work ethic has been there since the beginning. I think he's very, very smart. I respect him as a player. And I'm pretty sure he's an IGL. I think he's always been an IGL, but I would love that. I think when I was playing with Enemy yesterday, that was like so much fun. And even Enemy's comments, he was like, what the? He goes, oh, we're frying like that, Noko? And I was like, oh yeah, like this is just normal. I mean, if you were part of my stream yesterday, I think I got 3,500 damage every single game for like what, 6 hours straight. I think I got 3,500 damage every game. And I like, listen, I understand the lobbies, like I get it, but like I feel like I would look at other players do that and be like, what the are you doing, bro? Yesterday I was just demon. But then I realized, I'm like, I've been playing like that. I've been playing some crazy. So, no, it'd definitely be a lot of fun. I know competitive would be super hard, but I think I'm ready for it.